speaking of which, let's talk about the price of AirAdvice. So some people do say that AirAdvice is expensive. And what do you think?
I think it's worth it because it creates some real data that we can point to. I can't do that by myself or even with a thermometer or a wet bulb thermometer. I can't create a good looking report with real data because all I'm doing is taking a snapshot of 1 second. Oh, your humidity's high. Where were you in the house? Were you in the bathroom? Were you standing over the toilet? In the kitchen? So having something that actually produces a good report with information that most technicians just can't collect in the field with our standard tools that we have. So that is one way that it makes it a good investment. And it's also easily repeatable. You plug it in and it just does the thing. And I'm a big fan of automation. And that's what this is. Plug it in, starts collecting, gets your information, puts in a report, and emails it to you. All you've done is plug it in. So that's great because you're not having to do things on your own or put something together. The other thing that it does, in my opinion, it creates some authority in your field when you have report with real data. That way you're just not coming to the customer saying, hey, you need to do this. And they say, why? It feels humid in here, or it feels like you have a lot of dust, or I can see a lot of dust. So you've got some information to point to. Same thing with, carbon monoxide is not as big of a deal. That it is a big deal, but in an IAQ report, like if you got carbon monoxide problems, putting a new filter or ventilation is not your solution. You've got problems you need to fix. Not to say that it shouldn't be on there, but it's one of the lesser things we talk about. With carbon dioxide is a good indication that you need ventilation.
Right.
And being able to have that information and attribute it to a remediation or a repair gives us a lot of authority in the conversation. But that's how I look at using or being okay with the cost of it, because it isn't cheap, but it is reasonable for what it's delivering. And then we're able to use that for our service agreements as well, really at no cost to the customer because we've already built this into the cost of our overhead.
So we're talking about, do you think it's expensive and why is it valuable for your company? There's very little in the way of law regarding indoor air quality. As in the residential space, it's the Wild West.
Right.
Except for radon. We have a federal law for radon.
Right.
And in the HVAC industry, while things have improved knowledge-wise over the last handful of years due to the pandemic and wildfires, there's a long way to go. And you've been doing it at your company since 2012.
Right.
Why the heck have you been doing it? No one else is doing it. That's what I want to ask you. Why? I feel like we're lucky. I always think of the companies we work with as the Marines or the top notch of the top notch. You're going out of your way to pay. You just said it's not cheap. You go out of your way to pay for the equipment. Why do you do that?
I will say that there are plenty of indoor air quality testers and monitors out there, but they are not, absolutely not all the same. They do not necessarily even compete in some aspect. And I think your process as AirAdvice to make sure that the information that we're receiving is as correct as it can be